Welcome. So joining us in the studio for more on the highs and lows of the security in 2018 is a retired Army Colonel, Tony Nyam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, looking through what transpired and that particular report where quite a number of people were killed, do you think we learned our lessons so far, moving forward?
It's been a difficult year, and it's going to be, the security situation is going to be difficult, more so as we go into the election. Lessons have not been learned, as obvious from what the Director General of the Defense, he clearly, what I get from what he was saying was that in the level of operations, the military are doing the best they can do, but it requires much more political will of the policymakers to give them direction.
Not Nigerians who he says don't think that we're in a war situation.
I think that was what he should be saying is that the government itself should be coming out to say that we're in a war situation. We don't hear that from the high command of government that we're in a war situation. I think Nigerians would follow what the government, the political leaders say. Some
people have said that, there's still some form of political undertone because we keep getting pockets of this every now and again.
It would appear so, more so where the two parties, as it were, tend to have this political partisan approach to the war. Usually in a situation of war, politicians should be bipartisan. We are not seeing that. I think that we need to, like the general has said, we need to support the military more in terms of, there are three things or four, which are, says, 3 C's and 1 I: capability, credibility, and communication. And of course, the last one is intelligence. I think we are weak on those 4.
But when he says that we need to learn lessons, we need to be on the same page with them about that one, what about operationally, other than just the political direction? Are we seeing the results of us learning lessons in terms of what we see them doing?
I think, like you rightly asked, the military is overstretched. I think that he being a general, he wouldn't want to say that. The military is overstretched. In terms of the challenges they have, is so much. And that is why you may see the police, which is a civil agency, being used for a military operation. It shouldn't be. The police, at best, should be protecting life in areas secured, but not to be in a war front situation. But because of the lack of manpower, because the forces are overstretched.
On the other hand, there's the herdsmen, the suspected herdsmen attack in pockets as well in Nigeria. How do you think they're also handling this?
I think there's been some improvement from the federal government handling them. One is surprised that they are now coming back. And I think the federal government needs to take up that responsibility, because there's a perception that the law has been to cool down and that after the election they will come back. That impression that they want to use this government as a window of opportunity to consolidate their hold on land, the government must do everything to correct that perception.
And this should also cut across all the candidates vying for next year's election.
Mm-hmm. Sorry?
This should also cut across all the candidates vying for next year's election, when you say they need to be bipartisan.
They need to be bipartisan. We need to... The situation is that we are in a grievous war situation, but one doesn't hear it from the government. And I must also say, even the opposition is not emphasizing this war situation we are in. And because otherwise, you would have seen the indications, even in the budget. There's no reflection in the budget that we're in a war situation.
Yeah, but how does that also work for the farmers, herdsmen situation? Are we also at war with that kind of scenario?
We are, because when we have, as the Director General said, we have crisis. The military is in everywhere.
Yeah, but this goes beyond the military, because when you kept on saying governments, don't forget, well, yes, federal, but the states equally have a huge role to play here. So with the way they responded, some of them came up with grazing laws.
Yes.
So was that sufficient? Did that achieve the kind of effect they want?
Yes, the state that did it did what they thought you could do, but do they have the cooperation from the center? Is another problem.
What do you mean cooperation?
In the sense that do they have? The state governments don't have the agencies to enforce the law. By the way the structure is, the present political structure is such that they don't have the agencies to enforce the laws. Right now, in Benue, you would hear that there are warnings about the Fulani headmen coming in, but the state government doesn't have the wherewithal to enforce those grazing laws.
And aside from that, it's also identifying who these people are and also putting them in prison, punishments.
Indeed. And then this is why like I said, on the issue of credibility, the military should not be fighting the Amnesty International. All they should be doing is to get on doing their job, and because the Amnesty International is only a messenger of what they see. And so the military is doing the best they can do with all the limited resources they have, because I would say they are limited. And
so, having seen 2018, moving forward now, 2019, what would you recommend government does differently?
It's difficult because we are going into election. I think all I would say is that, for me, I think we really need to rally around whoever is going to emerge, or even this government, because without security, there's no place to govern. And for the moment, politicians are too concerned with winning elections, but they forget that even if you win elections and there is no country to use to govern, it's like building a house on nothing.
You know, sadly, something you mentioned, talking about the power of state governments. They've always said they're commander-in-chief, you know, number one, especially, you know, the governors. But then it looks like they're all without bites.
They have no powers to enforce whatever. This is why there's a lot of implications for restructuring this country to devolve power. You see, you cannot say you want people to be involved when there are no structures that enable people to be involved in the security of a country.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us. You are a retired Army colonel, Tony Yam. Thank you.
Thank you very much.